one. Hola, bonjour, and hello, everybody. Actually, mabuhay, let me be accurate. You're listening to Worldwide Tea. It is the one and only podcast where we cover everything related to the international seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race, covering, recapping, and spilling that hot tea as it happens. As always, I am Evan Sawdey from Pop Matters.
I am Gregory Ellwood from the playlist. Sadly, back in our authoritarian state of the United States, but I'm here.
Yeah, great. Greg, where were you, real quick, if you wouldn't
You
mind
know,
letting the
I
kids in class know?
I was in Toronto, which is, a minor improvement. As someone who's from Chicago, Evan, as you know, Toronto makes Chicago, I always tell people, seem cosmopolitan. It makes you want to live in Chicago.
Hmm.
But listen, I was at the Toronto Film Festival. I think I saw a movie with drag in it. I know I did. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but I did at least see one. Did not
It
get to
wasn't
see
Rental Family. We didn't get to see
no.
Brendan
There
Fraser
there is
dolled
no
up.
there is there is no, not in Rental Family. Um but yeah, it was a pretty good festival and I am glad it's over at least. But hey, I've got four more reviews to write. But that's for tomorrow. We're here to talk about Drag Race and we're here to talk about Slaysian
Slaysian
Royale, the
Royale.
best current season running and perhaps one of the best seasons of the year.
You know what, Greg? I'm so glad you said that because I was going to ask about that a little bit. Like, I was talking to my husband about this. Like, I think that as we talked about the other week, All Stars France, I think is like maybe
Hmm.
right below two. It was such a good season, save for one fucked up top two that we talked about extensively.
Yes.
But overall, so far this season has been great. It's been energetic. It's been so lively and I've just been very impressed with everything that's been going on so far. It's been
I just
truly
I just
great.
keep hoping it's not like the first bracket of like All Stars 10 where we had so much hope and it
Oh,
was so good and then oh
yeah.
no.
Oh no,
So I'm
but
just
the judging is being taken over by none other than Ginger Minge. There's nothing we can do about
yes.
it. It's okay.
Oh
Either
wow, can
way,
you imagine if Ginger showed up as like whoa.
please no. But most importantly, Garrett, we're already on episode fucking six at this point. Like
Is
it
it
just
6? I thought it was 5.
it could
Is it
I think it yeah, it actually I think you might be right. It's
it's
actually
5. We're halfway
five. It is
through.
five. All right, good.
Yes.
Exactly. So it is crazy that it's happening so quickly. But I'm having a wonderful time, and let's jump right into it. But before
Yeah.
we do that, let's just say the thing that we do at the start of every episode, which is in this House of Love, we believe that all drag is valid, and no queen ever deserves online hate. And as American entertainment journalists, we may not get every reference, but we always appreciate corrections. And there are some truly great queens who simply aren't good at Drag Race, and we celebrate them all the same. Thankfully, that's not the case here. I think almost everyone has done a pretty good job. And actually, the start of this episode, the queens come in and they really are celebrating Kitty Space. And like, she
Are
genuinely
they?
redeemed herself so far. Well, like they talk about like how important it was that she was in the top, that she did a little bit better than she did during her France run. Like at the start, they do seem to be at least decently, moderately celebratory.
Except
Except,
Brigadine chose Kitty. And
mhm.
then not only did they have a conversation when they returned to the workroom, but the next morning they continued the conversation about whether Kitty had a similar track record to Bernie or whether Bernie was worse. And I don't need to get ahead of ourselves. But Evan, I'm not that good at math. I'm really not. I wasn't. I did everything I could to get out of it in high school and in college.
Hmm.
I still have nightmares
Hmm.
from barely like passing to go to grad school. Long story. But I am pretty sure, and I don't mean to get ahead of ourselves. Bernie's track record was safe, safe,
Safe, safe,
bottom,
safe. Bottom.
bottom two. Kitty's was high, safe, win, bottom. How is that similar? Like they're not beating the allegations that this was an international girl save. And also Yuha, girl, in the
Mhm.
confessional saying that. What do you I mean, I know you want to stay and you're giving the producers everything you want, but come on.
Greg, ever since you pointed out that she's just the mouthpiece for production and storyline, like literally every single clip I have of her is like, wow, they pushed out another international queen. What does that mean for the rest of us? It's like, Jesus, just spoon feed right off the plate. But I will say, when they get back to the workroom after the elimination before the next day, it's actually Siam who starts the conversation of just like, what's
Yes.
up with us international girls? Is it is we just not at the same level? Like she's the one who starts
Mhm.
opining, and then all of a sudden it is actually Arizona who gets on the defensive to be like, well, actually, like she pulled my lipstick. That's the whole reason why. And then it's Kiana, bless her fucking heart, Kiana, who tosses the bomb in the conversation, who's just like, if I'm doing it off of actual fucking track record, Bernie should have gone. And I know she's in the room right here with me right now, and I don't give a fuck. And it's like low key, and that's the conversation that also spills over into the next room.
Yeah.
Fucking go, Kiana. Like, Kiana truly, and I think this is her vibe generally. As much as she is Team Pinoy Queen for obvious reasons,
Yeah.
she's Team Kiana more than anything else. And like I kind of dig that because she was in a position where she can say something like that and not get too much heat from the other girls. At least that's the sense I got.
I also think though that she's also teen keeping it real. I think in her
Uh-huh.
mind
Yeah,
she's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I think in her mind she's like, I'm not gonna go on global television or whatever this is and pretend this isn't what it is. Which, to be honest, only makes her more endearing when she has been cocky in the past. So she is super self-aware. She also knows she speaks the best English out of
Mm-hmm.
all of these queens. And
Mm-hmm.
I am telling you, there's part of her that's saying, I want to make sure that I seem neutral and non-partial, even when I haven't in the past, because I want these gigs in the States. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not, by the way, I would do the same thing. I would 100%
Mm-hmm.
do it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, she saw what Marina Summers has gone and done. Like,
Yeah.
why would she not want that? So I get it. But they do come back, and
Uh-huh.
in the next morning. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Did she not say Bernie says something about there was a moment in the previous episode where Bernie had said that Kiana shouldn't have been in the top four or the top
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. It's like an
And
untuckedy type clip that shows where
right.
someone else
And I'm
asks who
like,
thinks she should be the top four. Yeah, right.
and Kiana brings this up as like well, also this. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
Kiana, you were nowhere near this conversation. How did you find this out? Who told this to you?
Right.
How did you know? And it's like production. Come on.
Right.
The
Right.
riggery. Like, come on,
Right.
guys. Like, we're not that stupid. It wasn't like you cut to her hearing this going on. So, I don't know. I thought there was weird things going on. But more importantly, Evan, we have another fun mini challenge. And
Mm-hmm.
also very similar to one from France. They may have shared
Mm-hmm.
notes. And I don't know the Filipino name, but I do believe it's called Gay Spiders.
Spider
What
Gay.
Spider Gay? What did you think it was called? Did you
I
make
mean, the
notes?
subtitles just said Spider Gay, so I
Oh,
just went with
Spider
Spider
Gay.
Gay. Yeah, which I'm not
Uh,
mad about whatsoever.
Me either. I thought it was super fun. Um, I don't know if we want to go through the whole thing. I think things that we need to take away from it are that Suki is very good at this game.
Yeah.
Bernie and anyone who is short is not. Kiana is super good. And by the time we get to the end, it is Suki versus Kiana. And once again, Kiana wins another mini challenge because she is fit, she is strong, she is coming for these girls. And she
She
gets
doesn't
another.
care. She will push anyone off. Right.
She'll push anyone. I actually thought it was a tie at the end, but whatever.
Mhm.
And she gets, I think, another 20,000 pesos or something.
Yes. So
So,
at this point, her total is 140,000 Filipino pesos at this point. So it's a 2 million peso prize. She's doing pretty good. She's only behind Venus with 160 at this point, which is wild to think about.
so wild.
Yeah.
And we've got a long way to go. But Mama Pao comes in, and we have a very special episode. And I thought this was a very moving episode for a number of reasons.
Genuinely.
And the Mama Pao lets everyone know that it's going to be I don't know if the Queen, they must have known this beforehand. It's a team makeover challenge,
Hmm.
and there are only four guests, and they are all overseas Filipino workers who are known as OFWs.
OFWs.
And I just wrote down their first names. Um, I have Ernie. I don't know if that's right. Maybe
There's
I
Ermi,
or Ermi. Thank you.
Hermie. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, Ermi, Christine, Angelique, and Beverly.
Hmm.
And some shenanigans go on with what teams get put together. Do you want to even touch that, Evan?
I mean, at first they just pair up, and it's Kiana Siam, Suki Brigading, Venus Yuhua, Bernie in Arizona. But since they've been doing this with the mini challenge wins, you do get to punish or dole out a penalty to another girl. So the way that it's said and comes up in the translation is that Pao says you have to switch one team around. And at that point, that's when Kiana swaps out Siam for Venus, and that's why they suddenly are on a completely different team. So a little bit of strategery going on, but also Venus was like, I was looking with my eyes. I'm like, come on, come here, let's do this.
But also, the best part was Mama Pao going, for more drama. Like she is just,
She don't
and then
care. He gonna do it.
and then she goes, drama. Like she's so like whatever. She's like whatever.
Right.
She's basically like they're making me do this, so I'm saying it even though I think it's stupid, but here we go. I love her so much.
It's so great.
She was I think we've talked about this. Like I feel like this happens every season. The more it goes on, the more like in a rhythm she gets. And
Hmm.
by that half we're now halfway through the season, she is just like on it. Like
Hmm.
she's like dialed in. But things
100%.
change later on. But
Yes.
we'll get there. Um and then just to make things more interesting, Norvina, the head of
Greg, I thought you
Anastasia
said things were
Silva.
going to be more interesting.
But what was interesting though is I was fascinated by if that was her real hair or a wig because I did not see the lace. So either they digitally removed the lace or that was one amazing wig. Like, because
Fully possible.
I'm like staring at like the lace line and I'm like, I don't see it. But
I
maybe
mean,
that's her
listen,
real hair.
Norvina has been and sponsored enough of these shows, so
Yes.
snaps and applause for that too. But also, all that sponsorship money does not buy a personality. So I'm confident she could afford a very good wig. I'm confident she could do a very good job with that. But she gonna be showing up, is what she gonna do. Rest assured, every single
Yeah.
time. But when the queen, oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, please go ahead. Talk about what
Yeah.
happened in the workroom. It was amazing.
So then the queen sit down and we learn a couple different things. First off, Brigading talks about how she won the makeover challenge in her season. I'm sorry, no, no, no.
No, she lost.
She lost it on her season, and it was Bernie who won her makeover challenge when she did
Hmm.
it on her season. So there's kind of these different parallels that are happening here, but most importantly, so many of the queens have OFWs. And I think if I wrote it down correctly, I think it was Venus and Arizona had talked about how their moms directly were OFWs, going overseas, working,
Yeah.
sending money back. And
Oh,
Suki did
Kiana
not,
as well.
yeah,
Ki-
and Kiana specifically, when they were dealing with their mom, that they had, is that the mom talked about how when she would come back, the child would be indifferent,
mhm.
and be disrespectful and be a brat. And Kiana admits that was her. That's
She was the
her and what she
rebel.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just like my mom's not even here, doesn't even cognizantly realize, and there was such regret. Every group was crying. It was actually a genuinely beautiful moments. I would say overall, Suki does not have an OFW mom. She is obviously based in Canada, but she does relate to the situation as her mom was away for a little while too. So like it was, to be honest, Greg, and just to kind of macro zoom
Yeah.
a little bit, this is like the cacao leaf challenge for me. This is such a important and vital thing
Hmm.
about the culture, about the workplace, and it just was such a good thing to learn as an audience member. Like as much as I love sometimes you can theme it around a city or whatever, a challenge that is tied into the culture of which this franchise is based are the best kinds of challenges. And I feel like already Slaysian is just knocking it out of the park. This is another exemplary thing of shining light on something that not a lot of people know about that is just so important and so critical.
I really loved Suki's they started with it, but I really loved Suki's story because I think she said she has 4 or 5 brothers and sisters.
Hmm.
I don't know if I got the number right, but she has at least 4, and that her mom did like 4 or 5 jobs like to keep them going.
Hmm.
And my mom did a ton of jobs personally growing up so that my sister and I, mostly my sister, could have the arts education that she wanted. And so I sort of related to her talking about her mom like going above and beyond to sort of like keep that. So I thought that was, and I don't remember Suki ever talking about this on Canada's Drag Race.
Yeah.
So, and in fact, I don't remember her talking. She probably did, and I just forgot it. But I don't remember her talking about her family that much on Canada's Drag Race at all. But she also had a really quiet edit on that season. So it's
Hmm.
possible it just didn't make it. Um, but I thought it was super, super moving. And I don't really remember them showing a lot more of like the queen of the contestants. Like they didn't have the stereotypical, if I'm wrong, like, do you know how to walk in heels? Like all that sort of
Right.
stuff. Like which I thought was sort of nice. I thought they got to it pretty quickly. Am I misremembering?
No, I just very specifically wanted to highlight one exchange that I thought was
Oh, sure.
incredible, which was Siam and Yuhua. They were with their mom, and their mom was like, "I love RuPaul's Drag Race," and Siam's like, "Yuhua was on one of the seasons,"
Yeah.
which was this subtle like, "I don't know if you know this, but she was there on the U.S. version."
She
It's like,
was
"Oh
there, and
wow,
you clearly have not watched season 10. Like that's but hey, it's okay. Or
it's
you know what?
okay."
There's so many queens you just forget who they are.
Yeah.
Like it just happens.
Exactly. And listen, before like, there's not a lot of parade because after they go through a lot of the tiers, they go to the runway fairly quickly. But during the
Yes.
second day in the workroom, we learn a little bit more about Beverly, or as she likes to be known, Bevelicious D. And listen, a little bit lacing a hint inside the edit in case
Yes.
you didn't need to know. Oh, but Bevelicious D, she is a character. Also, before we get to the runway, Greg, our guest judges this week. My goodness.
What a flip side. Like on one hand, there is the somehow forgiven, I thought social media canceled captivating Cat Cat.
Mm.
And then Alyssa Edwards, our reigning global all-stars
Global All
queen,
Stars.
for potentially her the
Rest of time.
rest of her life. And by the way, she's running with it. I love it.
Hmm.
Get that coin, like do all this. This means more gigs. She's traveling around the world. She is taking advantage of this in the best possible way, and I love it. Um, but they come out. I but beforehand, Mama Pow walks out onto the stage. Did not love the gown. Thought the gown was
Not my
okay.
favorite. Not
Loved
my
the hair
favorite.
though. The hair looked
Yeah,
great. The hair and
love the
makeup.
shouldery things. Yeah.
Yeah, but the rest again was a little simple for her. It was like, eh.
Yeah.
But she does talk to Alyssa, and I will say this: the lighting was not reflective. Was not Alyssa's wig. She would never have known. Was not great for that lighting. Like
Yeah.
it looked very made her look like washed out. But she has already freaked out Mama Pow within 30 seconds. Like Mama Pow was like, "Whoa."
If you had a box delivered to your door and something was inside it, what would it be? Well, Mama, yeah, it's something it's doing a snatched corset, we'd be talking. It's just like
Yes,
I can't do Alyssa. It's not one
I
of my
can't do it
impressions,
either.
but
Um,
incredible, just absolutely incredible. She's happy to be there.
And so is Captain and Cat Cat. I didn't take notes because I'm trying to pretend she's not there this week. But if you
Okay.
love captivating Cat Cat, bless. We should forgive everyone for everything they do, clearly. Um, but this week's challenge, it's Homecoming Gala Night.
Hmm.
And I do not understand what the name of the challenge has to do with what they're doing. Can you explain it to me, Evan?
I think the whole idea is that as OFWs, they are away for so much that they don't really have time
Okay.
to come home or to have celebrations on here. It's like they have to budget and schedule and do all this stuff. But in this moment, this was for them to feel special and to feel pretty and to feel the drag experience. I think that's why they were kind of going with that vibe.
So these makeovers were supposed to be in that vibe because I don't
So
think that's what the queens thought it was.
So here's the thing, though. Let's actually dive into this because since this is two queens making over one person,
Yes.
traditional makeover challenge rules are kind of out the window. Because
Yes.
now it's not so much family resemblance, because would be two drag families coming together for like a third or
Yeah.
a shared child. This is just kind of a overall vibe or a story that they're trying to tell. So
Yeah.
if things don't match exactly in terms of face stamp or anything else like that, that's okay. It's really more of about kind of a collective homecoming experience that was familial, but not in the way that like it has to tie into a specific queen's look. That's the
So
sense
and
that I
I
got.
Yeah, I will say we also will need more tea on this. Yuha has been we should prop Yuha has been spilling tea on her recaps.
Hmm.
One big thing that you may not have heard or our listeners haven't heard is all of the queens from the international seasons. Not only did they show up without being told there'd be no corsets provided by production, which is a standard thing in France, a standard thing in Canada, definitely a standard thing in the US. They had to borrow corsets for some of these challenges from the Filipino queens. So that was a big miscommunication that I don't know if WoW thought like you're going to a competition, you should just prepare for everything or whatever. But then
Right.
also compared to I guess especially any other All-Star seasons, they were hardcore about weighing the boxes or your bags. And I
Mm.
have not heard yet any of the queens say I had to throw this out or take this out, but that was a big deal, and that affected supposedly some of the runways for the international queens. It may have affected Yuha, which is what she's trying not to 100% admit. Because I know she's been I have heard that
So
she has
that
been very
explains the whole robot runway from episode 2, where she said,
it
"I my
might,
thing didn't
yeah.
show up." She may have actually had to throw it out.
Yeah,
Um,
she
in
also, I mean, she's from what I've heard, she's been embarrassed almost about her runways because she
oh
does bootleg opinion. She comments on everyone's stuff, and I think
yeah,
she thought she had prepared a ton of great stuff, and
adequate.
yeah, and it has not worked out. Although this week, I'm getting ahead of ourselves. So the one thing you can tell from this week, and we don't have confirmation yet, we need them to all admit this, is it's clear that the two queens who were paired together picked one of their outfit groups they brought.
Right, collections. Yeah,
And we'll get to it, but Yuha's is clearly hers and not Siam's because it's Chinese attire and Yuha is Chinese. But we're
correct.
getting ahead of ourselves. So the first queen comes out.
Well, also, I
Uh
mean, listen, if
oh,
they have
sorry.
weight limit, if they're doing the weight limits that hard, then sorry, Peach, you are not welcome onto the
Oh,
Slaysian Royale.
Peach is getting back on the plane. She's like, send
well,
me back
well,
to
here's the thing.
Paris.
Peach built the plane already, so that's been one of the runways that she had. Drag Race All Stars, France, Peach. Look it up. She's incredible.
Up
Anyway.
first, up first is Kiana and Venus doing
Oh,
Mariah Carey's.
Mariah Carey.
And I think Venus is the one who impersonates Mariah regularly.
Hmm.
And it is great. It's so fun. The three Mariahs. I loved it. Even though Kiana didn't really look that much like Mariah and her dress wasn't 100% fitting, it just was fun. And more importantly, their OFW had a amazing time. You could tell she was just having
Right.
a blast. So
Yeah.
good. What did you think?
I will say Venus's face as Mariah got a little bit uncanny valley for me, but
Yeah.
that's just her face, like it was just a fast it was weird to see it all the way together, but the thing is I was just so pleasantly shocked. I'm like, they're all doing Mariah. There's nothing saying they can't do Mariah. Fuck it, let's do Mariah. Like I just had
Yeah.
this rolling level of delight as I saw it as it was happening. It was great.
It was also a great surprise because not only were we not expecting it, the judges never thought in a million years they would go this direction. And
Then
it's
they would have
just
three
super
Mariah
fun.
Careys.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also it was great it was also like an English reference randomly for Alyssa Edwards, who they had no idea would be there. So smart, lucky in many ways. Up next was Brigading and Suki, and they did traditional, I believe these were Filipino gowns, maybe. They were not
So,
Suki's gown, they were Brigadines. So
right.
I think they were Filipino, but maybe they were another country. I'm not sure, but it was definitely not Suki because Brigadine has posted and Suki has not.
Exactly. And also, it's kind of, again, it's one of those runway things that you can just never predict. But
Yep.
Brigading and Suki and then Siam and Yuhua had effectively the same concept, which was gowns in the
Yes.
red, blue, and yellow of the Filipino flag. So that is, you can't, again, you can't predict these things, but that's just how it worked out. So
But
unfortunately,
they
because
also,
of that, go ahead.
yeah, no, they also presented them in very different ways, which helped their cause.
100%. Exactly. What was it about this presentation that stood out for you?
It was clean. It wasn't comedic. It was very reverential, I think, to
Hmm.
their OFW. And she also was having a blast and sort of stole the spotlight a little bit
A
from
little
them, which is
bit.
what you want. You don't
Hmm.
want the other queens, as we will talk about if you listen to our Drag Race Brazil podcast. Um, uh, Check it out on YouTube and all platforms we're on, because I know everyone loves Drag Race Brazil. But you don't want to stand out in front of your makeover, and they made her the star, which is 100% the goal.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? Or you, is that do you?
No, they did just a great job. And I guess the probably thing is in comparing the two sets of dresses, I felt like their dresses just had so much more like small accessories. There's so much more like glitter on them and just little details. And later on in the runway, as we find out, they were Brigading's dresses, but it was Suki who did the hair. She did all the
Yes.
accessorizing. She hemmed the dresses so that they would actually be a proper length for everyone.
Yeah.
Like a lot of work went into this look, and it does show.
Up next was Arizona and Bernie, and they did, it comes up later, but no one blew this.
No
And
one blew this.
they were very good. They did 80s TV villains. It gave Dynasty the second they turned around the corner.
100%.
Their wigs were great.
The
Their
mom
queen
was
looked
all
great.
in.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Captivating said something about how she thought the gowns were simple or something, and I was like, what? Like I thought she was hunting for like a criticism. But I thought, you know what? In any 20 million other episodes of this in another franchise, they would have been high to safe. On Down
Hmm.
Under, they would have won. Like not to keep throwing the dirt on
And
Down
Down
Under,
Under
but
versus the World, they would have
Down Under
won.
versus the
But
World, yeah, they would have
I,
won.
to be fully honest, like, yes, the hair was great. The personality is what really sold it. But it was also like these are standard, like, dynasty style dresses
Yeah.
that we've seen together. And like the ruching on the front, or like, the styling of it, the way it pulled and teared was very nice. When they
Yeah.
turned around and you saw the backs, it doesn't have the same wow factor. And when you look at everything else on the runway, everything was
Yes.
just so much more composed and put together. So
And detail,
I
super
kind
detailed.
I kind of knew that that was their fate, and again, it's not really their fault to a degree. It's just you. This is like Jackie Cox being top 5 of season 12. It's like no one did bad. You just did good compared to everyone else doing great. That's really what it was.
Oh, not being top four, you mean? Like
Yeah, yeah,
her
yeah,
going home. I don't know.
yeah.
I still think she should have been top four, but whatever.
So
Um,
justice for Jackie Cox.
Justice
Hashtag.
for Jack. By the way, we do need it. Why does WoW hate Jackie Cox? Like, I don't understand why Jackie is. Because I'm gonna
She
spoil it.
distanced herself from Sherry real quick. I'll say that much.
No,
So I don't
but
know.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna spoil it. She's not on the next All Stars. There's another 18 queens. She's not on it. Like,
yeah.
I don't understand what's going on there. Um, but anyway, last but not least is Siam Pushi and who is she? Oh, Yuha. And I liked it. You didn't wait. What did I say wrong?
No, I know you said everything correctly. It's just Siam when she did her narration just couldn't help but be Siam. At one point,
Yes.
she was just like, and now we have these lovely wigs and these beautiful hair, and it's just like I don't know what it is about Siam's specific English, the way she. I mean, she was exactly the same during Thailand season 3, but it is just so funny. But it's just great to hear in a context where it's supported instead of bullied. Like she's just such a wackadoo. Love her to death. But yeah, these were great. These were great outfits. Genuinely,
Yeah.
truly. Yeah.
So, a little spoiler. The all the queens come back out on stage and their OFWs get to sit in chairs. If you
Hmm.
go back and watch, you will notice that Yuha has a tissue in her hand while she's on stage and she is wiping away a tear. And a tear. They didn't cut it out of the edit. And
Hmm.
the judges aren't really reacting to anything yet, but from what I have heard is this is when they found out while they were on stage for critiques that Jiggly had died.
Oh my God.
And it is very on one hand you understand whoever found out being just being probably so shocked and upset because I think it was shocking people didn't really think she was going to pass away. Uh that they didn't wait until the end of the day to tell them. But
Hmm.
they had to, but if you watch the episode again, they had to keep going and pretend and act that they didn't know this. And if you were unaware, Yuha and Jiggly were very good friends. And they'd worked in New York for years together. They totally known each other. Jiggly had been on bootleg 20 million times, probably as much as Laganja. And been to her apartment, knew her very well. So I think no matter what, there was no way in hell UOP was going to be in the bottom. This is not, by the way, an excuse to like whatever. They were safe anyway, but
Right.
like they
Right.
were
Right. Right.
not going to put any of them through this.
Yeah.
Um, but it was you can see that. But meanwhile, the OFWs don't know this Jiggly and they don't know what's going on, so they're having a blast. There's some really
Hmm.
funny moments. Beverlicious. Did I get that right?
Bevelicious D. The D
Bevelicious
stands for
D,
dirty dick.
big dirty dick. But then she admits later on it actually means uh doll ding. So for Suki doll and Brigading.
Brigading. Yeah.
But I still think it really means big dirty dick. And I also made a note that one of the other OFDs made a comment about heroes don't wear capes, they wear gowns, which I thought was
Hmm.
really cute. Um, and then, I didn't take much else from it except that you could tell that Bernie and Arizona were sort of shocked that they were potentially in the that they were going to like you could tell that they were like, wait, we're in the bottom, like what's going on? And
Yeah.
they were really surprised.
Well, Hermes, who is the queen, the mother for Bernie in Arizona, she then told her story of how when
Yeah.
she went out overseas, her employer abused her and described her as a dirty Filipina, wouldn't allow her to
Yeah.
touch the baby, do any of that stuff. And it's at that point Mama Pao talks about how this is unfortunately a very common story of just these horrible stereotypes that people have on here. And it's just like, again, I cannot emphasize enough how great and important this episode is because as much as it's Drag Race and it's a game show and it's a format and we celebrate all this queer culture, just learning about all the sides of this and the sadness of this too is just so pointed on here. But I will say all of this news, especially knowing, and you could tell by the end of the episode when they're saying the goodbye, and it's very clear that Mama Pao is just about to lose it, and she is the most composed
Wait, let's
person
wait
in
for
the
that. Let's talk
world.
about that later because
Right,
I
right,
really want
right.
to talk about that later. Okay.
Yeah, but when they go back into the workroom after the critiques, and this is when the reaction of Bernie, but especially Arizona, is super heightened because Arizona can't keep her shit together, and it makes sense. I'm not sure how close the Filipino girls were with Jiggly directly, but
Yeah.
she judged all of them, so she knew all of the Pinoy girls directly. So this news affects everyone in any way, but it definitely heightens the emotions for sure. Yeah.
And before they go out, we find out that
Oh yes.
Suki and Brigading have won, and Suki finally got a win, which is fantastic. Another international girl gets a win, and everyone else is safe. There's no high or low. It's just
Right.
Bernie and Arizona in the bottom. And they're in the back, and you're right. Bernie and Arizona are very upset, and Suki does. In the most adult, mature way, is doing everything she can to remind them, like, listen, nobody was bad. Like, it just didn't pop. I think she said it didn't pop as much. I think that's the
Hmm.
term she used. And she's like reminded them that they loved the dresses. Like it was just compared to everybody else. And
Hmm.
it doesn't matter. They're still just super upset. And this is also the second time that Arizona has been in the bottom.
Hmm.
And as someone who's been super cocky through a lot of the season and, brushed off for being in the bottom before and like feels like she's got a beeline to the win, she's really, really upset. And
Hmm.
I am so curious what this experience of this episode will do to the rest of her run. What did you think?
Right. Well, because also you got to keep in mind that her track record at this point has been high, win but didn't win the lip sync, bottom two, win won the challenge, bottom two again. Like this is as yo-yo as you could possibly get for someone. And it sucks too because she is a comedy queen. She's a reveal queen. She's a prop queen. She has a lot of very specific strengths and also very obvious weaknesses. And so that's really kind of catching up to her. I do feel sorry for Bernie just
Hmm.
because she is not only she's gorgeous and beautiful and she just has been able to make the mark, but also when she's playing her case to Suki, there's the
Hmm.
language barrier there. She's trying to intone things and Suki's literally there like, I don't understand that. I'm so sorry, I don't get that. And so like it's created this weird dynamic in there in terms of what they're talking about. I will say Brigading is much more sympathetic to both of them, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, which is weird because supposedly they had translators on set, so it's odd that like the translator didn't like stop and they because they
Step
could always
in,
cut,
yeah.
do another angle, like.
Hmm.
But I think they also maybe just wanted to say, I took it as that maybe Bernie was so emotional that she was mumbling what she was saying, and like even the
Hmm.
translator wasn't 100% sure like what she was trying to get out. I did think Brigadine also showed a tremendous amount of maturity when Bernie is clearly like losing it's the wrong word. She's so emotional. She's so in her own head, which she has been for a lot of this season, but maybe
Hmm.
quietly. And she's like, the judges don't like me. Like she specifically says that in Brigading's like, no, that's not what it is. They do like you.
Right.
Remember, she got really high on her season, and Mama Pao loved Bernie. So I just feel like I hope Bernie went back and watched. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but when Bernie watches this season, she might see that like, oh wow, maybe she didn't bring the same energy that she brought when she was on her original season. And sometimes you just go and do something again, and it's not the same, and you can't
Hmm.
bring it. And it's everyone's at different points in their lives. Like there have been queens who've been on U.S. All Stars who said like, I wish I didn't go back because I wasn't ready, I wasn't prepared mentally, let alone with what I had. Um,
Hmm.
but they go back out on stage, and we have our. Oh, did I miss something?
Oh no, no. The only thing
Oh,
I did want to say briefly was that narratively, though, again, I don't know how much of this is, producer fuckery or what they genuinely have on stage, but after all these international queens going, guess what? It's finally we have a bottom two that's just Pinoy queens. So like narratively, this kind of did need to happen, so it kind of shakes up that whole idea of just international queens going every week. Like it
it,
was. Go ahead. Yeah.
I do think they were lucky though. I don't think
Yes, I
I
would say
think
so. Yes.
I think they were happy to send anyone home but Venus, Kiana, and Arizona. I don't think they
Hmm.
would have. I actually don't think they would have cared if another international queen went home. But I think they were lucky that it finally that this what happened. Um, and I don't I just think from a third party perspective, you can't look at the episode and say like anyone who's like Yuha and Siam should have been in the bottom. Really? Like okay, like tell me why. Like prove it to me. Like
Right.
they were good. Their presentation and their story was better than
Hmm.
what Bernie and Arizona did.
Uh,
But anyway, so they come back on stage and Bernie and are they're in the back of the stage, Bernie and Arizona, and they're already emotional. They're like hugging each other already, and they haven't even done the lip sync. And the lip sync is between Suki and Brigadine. And do you know the song? I did not write down the song.
I did know the song is "Room" by Stell is the song, a little bit of a sexy number, and Greg.
And wait, before we start, when this song
Hmm.
started playing, I actually was like, oh, they wanted to give Suki the win. Like they picked a song because she's not a dancer, but she can
No,
do
no.
sexy. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh, they were trying to like get her a badge. And I don't think, by the way, they were trying to do it to send someone home. I think they just were
Right.
like, it would be great if we had an international queen win.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
that is not what happened, Evan. What happened?
What happened was, I would say, Greg, I would say was a very good lip sync. I would genuinely
Yes.
say that between the both of them, it's good. The thing that hurt Miss Wonderful Suki Doll was that during the actual dance break portion, she could do a couple moves, but Brigadine could do some actual moves on this fairly sexy song. But even with that, even after the dance break, oh, she does this thing where she goes over to Brigadine, who earlier in the episode she meant she has a bit of a crush on. She goes ahead and it kind of gently presses her to the floor. And, we've seen some play kissing here and there. We've seen some actual couple kissing between, Corey King and
Yeah,
Butt.
yeah.
But let me tell you,
First of
when
all, her
they.
name is Lydia Butthole Collins. Her name is not Butt. Wow. The
Wow.
disrespect for
The
a queen who
disrespect.
lip synced for 7 straight
Haven't.
months on our screens.
I can't wait to see her in Down Under versus the World. But
Yes.
I will say that, man, when she had her on the floor and when she actually started kissing Brigadine, baby, that wasn't fake. That was intimate. That was, I mean, the queens were hollering, and I'm just like, holy fuck, y'all. This is like a real fucking, this is so great. Genuinely, I was entertained like the entire time through.
Okay, I will say before that happened though,
Uh-huh.
Suki had sort of run out of sexiness.
A little
Like
bit.
that song is like 2 minutes, and Brigadine at that point was bodying her. Like she was like,
Hmm.
"This is over. There's no way." And she sort of got lucky that Brigadine lied down on the ground, and then she
Hmm.
like pulled a Raja
Found a moment.
and
Hmm.
found a moment, and that was a great way to end it. But she Brigading was like, I was like, you've won. Like she clearly won this. There was no way. Maybe if this had been an elimination, they would have done like you both shot Shantae, but it wasn't. It was to send someone home, and
Hmm.
Brigading wins. But I'm happy that Suki got there,
Top two,
got
finally.
two, all
Yes.
good, and it's good for her run. And Arizona and Bernie come out. They're completely on edge. Mama Pao looks so sad. And she
Hmm.
is sad, no doubt, because one of these queens is going to go home. But she's also sad because she is trying to hold it in for the news she had just found out about her friend.
Hmm. Yeah.
And Brigadine, by the way, is a great actress because you would never know that whatever they found out, she's keeping it
Right.
on. And
Yeah.
she reveals that it's Bernie, and Cat Cat is so upset. Like she just sort of
Hmm.
like falls over, and Bernie goes home. Bernie is super, Arizona is weeping even more than Bernie is. It's super emotional. Um, and then was there anything you want to talk about? Because then she does go back in the workroom and she's even still like just despondent. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it was just very emotional, but like again, it had been heightened throughout the day, but also in the edit, we hadn't learned at this point that this was the Jiggly
yes.
moment over here. It's only during the actual final part of it do we actually find out. So
And
that's why, yeah, go ahead.
I just have to say, so Mama, so they cut away. They do the traditional. The queen goes back,
Hmm.
starts doing her lip sync, and talks to the camera, and she's upset. And then they cut back to do the traditional go away, and Mama Pow looks like she cannot hold herself anymore. And she gives the traditional sign off, and she says, "We love you, Jiggly." And captivating Cat Cat just falls on the table, and they cut to the queens who are like crying as they go to like do the dance to toot toot whatever
Hmm.
them shoot
To the
Rocket
moon,
Wood
yeah.
Moon. And then they cut back and Mama Pow is like wiping her tear. Like it's just that I it just broke me, Evan. Like I was just like, this is so sad. And I feel bad that they were told during this. I don't, maybe they were happy they were told and not that someone didn't keep it from them. But wow, like I hate to say it was great television because it's horrible.
Right.
But for what they captured of what those people were going through at the time, I don't ever remember an episode of Drag Race like this. Maybe during the COVID season on UK too, there was something like this I'm forgetting, but like this was wow to me.
I mean, for me, I do genuinely think that this is good television, and I don't think you should feel guilty for saying that. Because what is television? Television is to a degree capturing life, and yes, it can be a drama, it can be comedy, or it could be a game show style of reality competition show with drag queens. But real life happens to all of us. They stopped filming for 7 weeks in the middle of COVID. They've had to deal with queens that they had to cut out of the edit because of whatever reason. They've had to deal with some real world stuff that affects it, and at the end of the day those editors have to decide certain story beats. Those editors have to decide what to include and not to include. They have to decide how much cherry pie to cut out. They have to decide whatever is needed for X episode or X thing. And so here, it was hard to shy away from the fact that this was real because at the end of the day, she was very much a divisive figure. We've talked about this many times on this podcast before, but at the same time, she was so embedded into the DNA of this show that it's unsurprising that people are affected. And yes, if the smarter you could say that maybe for the sake of television you didn't want to let them know during filming, but this is family at this point too. After you filmed over, what, almost 20, 30 episodes together, like
Yeah.
you're going to get pretty bonded at this point. So even if a queen was eliminated, even if they only saw her for one episode, it's still a vital part of that lifeblood and infrastructure and tours that you do afterwards and all that. Like they all knew each other. Did they all like each other? That's a different story. But like captivating Cat Cat, at the very least, she also understands what's going on. Like this is a even Alyssa Edwards, who may not even fully know, she at least knows who Jiggly is, certainly. So
And
I
but
think that go ahead.
no, Alyssa knew Jiggly. They had
Yeah.
done tons of gigs together. So but the weird thing was that Captivating Cat Cat and Jiggly had like argued online. Like
Hmm.
they'd like
Online, in person, at
yeah, like
shows,
it
like they've had been very contentious. Yeah.
and and our listeners can update us and remind us. I think they had made up a while ago.
Hmm.
So I hope they did. But just how I just thought it was just like I feel like if you are a Drag Race fan or you have followed any of these franchises for a considerable amount of time, it is a moment in this episode that people will remember for a long, long time. Like
Yeah.
I won't forget this. Just like there's seminal moments in other episodes that you just don't sort of forget. Like a door leaving All Stars 2. Like it's a little bit of
Hmm.
that. Like you
The
just
interlocking
don't.
surprise runway. There's been a couple
Yes.
of the like, there's been joyous things as well, but like genuinely, and I truly mean this, Greg. This was a fantastic episode. I put this up there with the Cacao Leaf Makeover episode in terms of not only great TV and great drag, but also informing us about a culture, and in this case, bringing us into a family, bringing us into this drag family that the viewers and the producers and the talent had established. Like we don't usually live through a tragedy or a passing in real
Yeah.
time. So acknowledging it was vital and important. And so, yeah, I am going to go out there. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say it's not cruel to say it's good TV because good TV is a reflective of life. And even if the life was lost, that life was still being celebrated. So I'm glad that they talked about it and were open about it.
And I am super curious if it will come up in future episodes, if they'll wait till the end of the season
Mm-hmm.
or they won't. I don't know what they did. I do remember at the
Because they had
beginning of this season they had a
yeah,
title card,
yeah, they had a title card at the end of the very first episode. Yes, they did have
but
that,
not at this
which was
one.
an
There
RIP.
wasn't.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So, so the episode's over. We are down to seven queens, I think. Am I correct? We're down to seven? There must have
Yeah,
been because there
for
was four and eight, because it was eight. So we're down to seven.
yeah.
And it's not even, but there's four Filipino queens left and three international. Evan, do you think an international queen is going home next week, or do you think another Filipino queen is going home?
Let's just be honest with ourselves here. As much as she's good for production, I don't know how much longer Yuhua has. I don't know if she's going to be able to turn that narrative around, if I'm being very real here. I think it's pretty obvious at this point that Brigading is still very deeply loved. I think
Mm-hmm.
Suki very much could be our Nalenia. She could be our one that is all very much a
Yes.
part of that top four conversation. And Venus, Kiana. I'm not saying that anything's set in stone. Arizona, Siam, I could see moments happening on here. I do think things aren't looking great for Yuhua, but also next week is Snatch Game and also the Snatch Game election, which who knows how the fuck that's gonna work. Hopefully better than Snatch Game the musical from fucking Canada vs. the World season 2. But either way, I'm excited, I'm curious, and overall loving the season so far. Every episode has just been an absolute delight after the other.
Evan, I don't know what this means in terms of betting, but what's the over under that Yuha does? Look over there. Like, she's gonna do it, isn't she? She's gonna
I
like,
don't. Or she might be a werewolf. I don't know,
she might
Greg.
be a
She
werewolf.
might be a
She might.
werewolf. You never
But
know on some
listen,
of these things.
listen, for those of us who are watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. Tell your friends too. We love the feedback. We love that you're listening or watching too, if you're watching. And we're excited to be back next week. We've got four more episodes. And then also, listen, you might not like Drag Race Brazil. You might have been not that into it. Maybe you didn't like Drag Race France, but we will soon be covering Drag Race UK and Drag Race España, two of the better franchises in the world, in the Drag Race world. And we are
Mm.
hoping that you will also maybe segue over and enjoy our company to as we discuss those
Yeah.
over the next 3 months as the soldiers come into our cities. And
Absolutely.
we have to have
I
our we have to have our passports and IDs and birth certificates to make sure that we don't get arrested. But if
I
you're in
will.
another country, bless you and
Let's
enjoy your freedoms.
enjoy your safety. I will say though, there's been a lot of people who have been listening to the show who very much I've been surprised don't know anything about Drag Race. There've been people who've been
Whoa.
listening to episodes who don't know anything about Drag Race, but have enjoyed hearing us rip on Brazil
Aw.
and to talk about like something like it's actually been genuinely like one of the more heartwarming things. It's like I listened to your entire interview with Mami Wata, and I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. Like you like, and they've never seen a single episode of it. So like everyone who's been in the fans, and everyone who's been commenting and leaving us reviews on Spotify and iTunes and all the places, thank you so much. We genuinely appreciate it. And Greg, I don't know if you know this, but we're coming up on 1 year because this started
Whoa.
airing in October of 2024. So
Shit.
somehow we did it. And we're
Ah.
gonna keep doing it as long as we
It was
can,
a it
baby.
was a different time. It was a different time, Evan. So different.
Oh God, let's not talk about it. But in the meantime, please listen to our other episodes that we have. In the meantime, we will see you next week. Thank you, everybody. We will talk to you soon. All right, take care. Goodbye.